Hi, so again, Kyle Mason, Bennington County Forester. I'm going to talk really quick about the Tree Farm program, which is a certification program that is across the entire country. It's been around for a long time, and it's a way to certify wood coming from your property and also become part of a larger community as a whole of people that manage property. So first off, what the heck is a tree farm all about? So let's start there. A lot of people, when they think of tree farm, the first thing that jumps in their mind is like a Christmas tree growing place. When people grow Christmas trees, that's a tree farm. That's not the kind of tree farm we're talking about, so let's get rid of that. Second thing you might think about is an orchard. No, we're not talking about orchards. We're not talking about orchards at all, so let's not go there at all. The last thing people think about probably before they start, they're getting closer, are plantations. There are certainly plantations in the tree farm program in the southeast of the United States. But that's not the, there are some here too, but that's not generally what we think of when we think of a tree farm in Vermont. When we think of a tree farm in Vermont is a family or an entity that owns a property that is interested in managing their woodlot, and they are looking to take the next step to move beyond just a simple management plan, or to be certified essentially. And we're going to go into what that means. There are people that want to get together with other tree farmers and learn from others' experiences, and hang out with their peers and gain new knowledge. And they can share stories about foresters they've worked with, share stories about loggers they've worked with. Just get together and try to learn from each other. Uh-oh. Oh, we're back. Thought all the technical difficulties were... What is going on here? Well, at least that happened to me, not Steve. There's actually Steve right there. The other thing the Tree Farm does is it recognizes great work. So Steve was this year's Tree Farm Inspector of the Year. And this is Dave Paganelli. He's also a county forester like myself up north. He owns property, and he was selected the Tree Farmer of the Year in 2015. And this is a group of people that got together during a tree farm sale that was going on to learn about timber sales. So again, it's about educating each other. It's about taking management of your property to the next level. Man, what is going on? We're just going to not even...
Battery's getting weak or something.
Everything's plugged in. Okay, we'll see how we go. Okay, so let's get back to, so we talked about the landowners of the tree farm. Let's move on and start talking about the land. So there's kind of four aspects that tree farms focus on. Everyone thinks timber, timber, timber. But look at the sign. It says wood, water, recreation, and wildlife. It is so much more than just timber products. But let's go through these really quick. So, wood is obviously wood products. Here's that kind of chain that Gabe had mentioned. So, starting with the management plan, moving on to the harvesting, the wood gets transported to the mill, it gets milled up, brought into a shop. Anyone watch the show Parks and Rec? That's the guy from Parks and Rec. I couldn't help myself. I found that picture. And then finally a product that goes to people right in the end. So that's kind of the game with that. There's also, other products. So we got sugar makers, people selling ginseng, we got chaga, birch bark's a new market out there. These are all forest products, so it's not just about timber, although that's a big part of it. So water, when we say water, what are we talking about? We're talking about keeping our waters clean and our resources pure. So that's doing things like Gabe kind of mentioned earlier, putting proper water bars and drainages into your roads, using proper crossing techniques, using buffer systems to make sure that there isn't silt going into the stream. Then we got recreation, right? So recreation obviously is just getting out there and having fun. This guy looks almost like if any of you knew Eric Hansen. I couldn't help put that picture on there because he reminds me of it. But anyway, it's about getting out and recreating, and it could be just hiking, it could be hunting with your kids. There's all sorts of things you can do in the wildlife, and Tree Farm encourages that. And then the last thing is wildlife, and again, our forests are homes to all sorts of creatures. And it's important to a lot of tree farmers and a lot of landowners to manage their forests in such a way that we improve the habitat for these creatures, along with all those other values. So Tree Farm is full of values. It's not just a Christmas tree plantation. It's not just a place down south with plantations. It's about families coming together, passing to the next generation. It's a great way to get your kids involved in the program. a way to get excited and to reach out to other folks. So, so how does this tree farm work? You know, I kind of talked about what we're about, but let's talk about what the deal with it is. Okay, so first off, the deal is if you want to be a tree farmer, you need a management plan in place, and it needs to meet the standards of the program. I'm not going to go into the standards, but what I am going to say is that go contact a consulting forester, and they should be able to help you write a plan. If you're in the current use program, you pretty much qualify already. You need to add a couple things. It's a national program again, remember? So you need to have language in there about forest fires, even though we don't have any here. Pest management and things like that. So a couple extra things. You can do it in like a couple paragraphs, and bam, you're ready to join the tree farm program. Also, if you're not interested in tax incentive programs, but you want some kind of standards to hold yourself to, tree farm's a great way to do that as well. Lastly, you get someone from the government who not the government, but I couldn't help with the grumpy guy there. Someone that comes from national, and they come down and they do random audits. So it's a third-party audit. So it's not involved with the forester. They're checking to make sure the standards are there. So it's an extra way to check and make sure that everything's okay. And every 10 or 5 years, every 5 years, a forester also is required to come on your property and do a quick inspection as well. But that third-party inspection is where they really get into the nitty-gritty and look at it. So why the heck would anyone want to become a tree farmer? Well, there's all sorts of reasons. I kind of covered one. But one of the big things that the tree farm program does is they ask folks that are members to pay a fee. It's $10. It's $10 a year. It's not much. And a lot of what they do with that money is they pay that guy who comes, the grumpy guy who comes and makes sure that audits your property. Vermont's actually we've done really well with our audits. We just had one, and it went really well. So that's fantastic for us. But they also hire folks to do some lobbying in Washington. If any of you guys have done NRCS or any of that kind of stuff, the Farm Bill, they've been pushing assets like that. So they push assets for forest landowners. We again talked about that kind of, oops, I didn't mean to have those animations. Get through that. Okay, we talked about the chain of command. So the other thing that Tree Farm does, Gabe mentioned the certified stuff at like McDonald's. So Tree Farm is one of the ways that you can start that chain of command. So it's a way of certifying on the landowner's perspective that it's sustainable green wood. In fact, the new LEED buildings, have you guys heard of LEED buildings? They hold to high environmental standards. They now accept Tree Farm as the first step to getting green wood into those buildings. And Tree Farm is pushing hard. This exists really well with Tree Farm. Folks like Gabe that are certified have this end covered. We're kind of lacking in this area right now. Some mills and products are doing it, but I'd like to see a lot more. And the hope is that we'll be able to push that direction and everything will become green certified. But we're there in some areas, but not all the way there. And again, the last thing is just getting your family excited. What a great way to pass on the kind of knowledge and excitement of being a landowner, getting involved in a program like this. The pride that comes along with hanging that sign. And the last reason is Tree Farm does that's a blurry picture, sorry. Tree Farm does all sorts of outreach. We do a quarterly newsletter. There's a magazine that goes to folks, and we do walks of people's tree farms. People do tours of their tree farms, and so it's a way for folks to get together and learn from each other, from their peers, not from someone like me gabbing to you. So how do you get involved if you want to join Tree Farm? Again, that consulting forester is your tool to get involved. It starts with the plan and the application process. The question you should ask your forester is if they're a tree farm inspector. If they're not, they should still be able to help you find one or go through the process. And that's it. So quick and dirty. Any questions?
Minimum amount of property.
10 acres. Yeah, you need at least 10 acres to join the program.
Is it a written application that you do? Or?
Yeah, actually it's digital on smartphones now. The forester can take you through that. So it's considered an initial inspection. So the first step really is to make sure that you have a management plan in place and that the plan meets the standards. And then the second step is to do the application. Your forester does it right on his phone now. Any other questions? Great. Thank you guys for coming. It's been a pleasure. And look for this on YouTube, and we're going to try to reach out to as many folks as we can, because there's a lot of resources available to landowners, and it's a shame that not everybody knows about them. So thank you very much.
Yeah.